Okay, you're good.
All right, good to go.
Yeah.
Okay, how's it going, everybody? So we're gonna be starting our run up here for Half-Life 2 right away. We're gonna be starting from new game. This isn't normally where we start for a run, so the timer isn't going to start just yet. I will say when the timer should start. Timing starts whenever we actually gain control of our character, which is after this about minute long quick little intro with G-Man, everyone's favorite.
Rise and shine.
So basic background on what happens at this point in the story is that at the end of Half-Life 1, you sign a contract with G-Man
To imply
that
you've been sleeping on
has you put into stasis until you're next needed. And now we are needed, so we're being woken up.
all the effort
So
in
he's just
the
kind of
world would have
telling us how important we are.
until
And then we're going to get going with a lot of speedrun content.
just say your hour has come again.
So this game has had a lot of route changes in the past few months. Past like year of this game has been a lot of major differences. The world record has been brought down from a 109 to now a 51. So it's a very different run, and we're going to be getting our timer started in about 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, and the first thing we're going to be doing here is we're going to start save loading while we're sitting in the train at the beginning. The reason we want to do this is because it will make the trains clip inside of each other, which allows us to skip to outside of the train. We don't have to ride it. And when you mess that up, you gotta reload. So what we have to do here is we have to do the movement, which is called an ASH, which is an accelerated side hop. The way that movement works in this game is that the game accelerates you at a very high pace whenever you move past a certain speed cap and the game thinks you're moving backwards. The reason for this is because they wanted to patch out bunny hopping from the engine, but instead what they did was they made it so that the game gave you a lot of momentum in the backwards direction. So basically, if you go fast, the game pushes you backwards, and if you are going backwards, then the game will just increase your speed exponentially, and it makes you go really crazy fast really quickly. So we have to get through some cutscenes first. The UPS at the bottom indicates how fast I'm moving. 150 being standard running in a direction speed without sprint. We're going to be seeing much bigger numbers. So the cutscene at the beginning on this map here is one of the few that's left in the early game. If you know of the longer cutscene coming up called Red Letter Day, we actually completely skip this cutscene that's coming up, which it was a very long roadblock at the beginning of the run that made runs very difficult to grind in this game, but some incredible work was done to find a skip for it. We just gotta wait for the conversation to go on here.
Sorry, Doc, but look who's here. Great Scott! Gordon Freeman!
Another thing to quickly explain. Oh, do you have some stuff to read?
He was about to board the
I was just gonna say there's a couple of donations queued up, so anytime there's some downtime, just
Now
mention.
is a good time.
Okay. So I've got $10 from Zaratu, oh, 082, who says, who asks really, too late. And then another $10 from 080, who was saying, you're too fast.
Hey, Gordon, you're gonna have to
Um,
make your own way to Dr. Clark's
$2 from Anonymous with no comment, but they actually put that $2 towards the Uncharted 2 skin choice, which is Wetsuit Elena.
Okay, so instead of picking up the can here, we can actually just fail to clip through the guy, but we can also just jump over him instead of picking up the can. He gets angry at us and starts chasing us, but he can't really catch up to our magnificent movement skills. Okay. There's a little tricky movement I did there where if you were going fast and launch into the pallet that is sitting on the side there, because the pallet is angled at a slight angle, it actually can launch us diagonally into the air, allowing us to skip over that fence, where normally we'd have to jump on a dumpster in order to get past it. Skip that guard by using a box to block his path, which also allows us to skip a trigger that would allow us to lose a lot of HP. So, using that, we're going to be going down onto the street to do a very elaborate trick that is going to allow us to do the aforementioned Red Letter Day skip. This is one of the most recent major discoveries in this game. And it involves a trick called Bill's Big Thrill, which is a dumb name because no one ever thought it would be useful, and it's cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to rub this paint can up to this tire so that it barely touches the tire, which causes it to completely lose its collision. So now we can just kind of jump into it, which causes us to completely lose our collision. We use this to clip into this room in order to get these guys to knock us out so we can continue the cutscene like normal. But we are currently in a weird Bill's Big Thrill state. I don't know what the actual name for it is, but essentially we're all sorts of messed up right now, and I couldn't begin to explain why. It's very complicated, weird physics engine stuff. But one important thing to note is that if we jump and crouch in the air, the place where we jumped at is stored as like a hitbox point, and we can hit that hitbox with a prop, which causes us to fly in the air like this. Until we uncrouch, we will just keep flying in this direction. So we use this to get on top of the map, because we're going to be using this point setting thing that this state gives us to set ourselves a point that we were going to warp to later by touching a prop, allowing us to skip the next map. So don't worry about all this nonsense. So what we're doing is we're building up enough speed that, so that we can actually have that warp point give us enough speed to be able to skip the next map entirely. I need to build up some speed, make it past some invisible walls and pits in the floor. And I need to try that one more time. This trick is pretty particular about where you need to set this up, so you have to be pretty careful in order to not be able to do this. So we did it there, we were able to get some pretty good positioning, and now we're just going to ABH back into the corner. And we're going to try to build up some speed in order to make it over this gap and to crouch jump our way into the cutscene once again. So now that we're crouched and we have our position set, we have to remain crouched for the rest of the trick. And now what we have to do is we just have to watch the rest of the cutscene so that we can get to the change level trigger that will take us to the next map. The idea of what we want to do is we want to touch a prop which will teleport us to our hitbox position at the same tick, which is essentially a frame, that we touch the change level trigger, which will cause us to both teleport and go on to the next map at the same time, which will allow us to be in a position where we can launch to the end of the next map, completely skipping it. So we need to set up this prop at a very precise position and angle. In order to do this, which we use with numbers at the top right of the screen that denote where we're looking and where we're positioned. Drop the prop there. Do some bunny hops into it. And that will allow us to skip Red Letter Day entirely. Now that's a really hard trick and possibly the hardest in the game, and it's one of the few things in this game you have to do in a single segment. So, very good that I was able to get that quickly, but now I need to make sure I don't die. There we go. We only have a limited amount of HP here because the God mode that we had before by skipping a trigger on the third map wears off when you get knocked out by the Metro Cops. So we have to make sure, let's delete this one as well. We have to make sure that don't take a lot of fall damage. We do a trick called a save delete there. The save delete is going to allow us to get our suit back. And now we're going to be progressing like normal. So we're going to prop climb up with this barrel. A prop climb allows us to gain height by jumping off the prop, immediately grabbing it so it gains back the height that it dropped, and then just jumping off of it more so we can climb an infinite amount of height. And now we're going to set up a little ramp with this pallet so that we can get over these wooden planks without needing the crowbar. So now we've unlocked the root canal chapter, which is the chapter we're in now, so we're just going to immediately start a new game on this chapter. It's just a alternate form of save deleting that is slightly faster. And now we're going to be making our way through the game and making our way through root canal. The first thing we need to do is we need to get on top of a invisible clip brush that is on this map. And the fastest way of doing that is to launch off this dumpster, but it's also somewhat luck dependent, so sometimes you just can't get it. Just essentially it's too precise to be consistent, so can't really expect to get it. So we can do a backup by climbing with the trash can as we did there. And we're just gonna keep running our way through, dealing with Metro Cops as we need to. We're gonna bring this box with us in order to prop climb on top of this map as well, which will allow us to skip a lot of the later section of this map. So the maps in this game have a naming sequence that I'm probably going to use just on like habit. So this is like Canals 01. This is the Canals section of the game, and it goes up to Canals 13. But the numbers and naming is a little bit inconsistent because of the way that they removed and added some maps that weren't in there before. So if I ever say like Canals or coast or town followed by a number, something like that, it's referring to the map name. That'll just be something I do habitually without thinking, knowing that nobody knows what I'm talking about. Either way, we climb around the map to skip a significant portion of it, and now we're jumping on top of these spools to skip the barnacles that were giving us some issues. Now we just have to wait for all of these barrels to allow us to continue on to the next map. Whoa, okay. We use that barrel to block the barnacle. The barnacles work whenever something gets into their tongue. They'll basically start dragging it up and then eating it whenever the tip of it reaches their mouth. So you can use things like barrels or tires or anything like that in order to kind of distract them from you. Anyway, we do a circle straight boost to get to the end of this map early, and we skip the physics puzzle by jumping around it. And we do some movement to ideally go farther than that, but that's okay. Quickly make our way to the end of this map, and then we're going to be getting into the longest map in Canals 3. So there's something that you could do on this map that is faster for the in-game time, like, method that is most frequently used for speedruns for this game. But because we're in a marathon setting where we're actually going by real time instead of in-game time, there's the strat that would normally save time on this map for game time actually loses a lot of time for the real time because it involves a lot of save loading and waiting for the game to load. So we're not going to be doing that because that would be very uninteresting and also slow.
Hey, Alex.
What's up?
I'm going to be at the speed place for you for a sec, because we're getting a little bit of frame drops from you.
Is it on my end?
I think so. Are you streaming at 60 frames per second?
I am. Do you want me to lower that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
Just a 30 is fine, because I'm streaming at 30.
Okay.
And you might have to turn your stream off and on again.
Yeah, I'll do that real quick.
Yeah, you're a champ. Yeah.
Should be coming back online.
Yeah.
Hopefully that will be better.
Yeah, if it's still an issue, I'll stop you again.
No problem. Can only do so much with Spectrum. Either way, we're going to be swimming our way through this map. We're skipping a lot of puzzles in this map. In particular, at the end of the map, there is a lot of physics-based puzzles to do with the water level in the room. The essential goal is to raise the water level enough by going to adjacent optional rooms so that you can just kind of swim up to wherever you need to go. However, because we have the powerful movement methods like prop climbing and stuff we can completely skip all these puzzles. So normally you need to raise the water level to get through this room, but we can just gain height by using this barrel, which very easily allows us to skip a majority of this map. So now we're going to be getting into the most difficult section of the run as a whole, which is called Boatless. So normally from this map going forward, I fell. From this map going forward, you generally will take an airboat through, and you have to use the airboat to get past a bunch of puzzles, a bunch of blockades, fight a bunch of cops, do all that kind of fun stuff. But the boat is extremely slow, and it is limited to just the speed of its motor, which is significantly slower than we can ABH throughout all these maps. So we're going to be skipping the boat and just using our good old jumping around methods to skip everything. We're going to be reaching some pretty high speeds at this section, so we're going to be doing lots of flying around that will get captured extremely well by the frames that are being dropped. But we'll do our best. So just trust that me teleporting through the maps is definitely not me just covering up and cheating. Definitely just doing everything as I am normally doing it.
Confirm for Splice.
Live splicing for Hackathon 2019.
How about what bitrate are you streaming at?
3,000 at the moment. I can lower it to 2K if you want.
Yeah, 2K.
I need to save the lead on this map anyway.
Yeah. To be honest, these are questions I should have asked you before.
Yeah, that's fine. Alright, so we're going to be save deleting on this map to get our HP back up. And using this HP that we have, we're going to try to carry it with us through the next few maps. Particularly on a map coming up on Canals. Let me try a different save. A map coming up on Canals 09, we're going to have to be having pretty much max HP going into the map because we're going to have to be swimming through a bunch of goo in order to make it past it. If we could get past this gate, there we go. We have to do a big launch above that gate, and then we're going to keep our momentum, skip past this airboat section that you normally have to go through slowly and painfully with the airboat. Now, something that's very convenient about this section of the game is that there's water absolutely everywhere. And like in a lot of games, water is the safety cushion that will make any height extremely not deadly. So we're just going to be using the water to cushion our falls, allowing us to abuse Gordon's legs as much as we want without having to worry about his safety. There we go. So flying past that gate faster than it can even close. Normally the airboat is way too slow in order to get past this gate normally, but we can just kind of fly our way back, or past it. And now we're going to be heading into Canals 09, so the main strat on this map involves getting through a very long goo tunnel that will deal a lot of damage to you, and because it's in water, it will eat up a lot of your speed very quickly. So you need to have a very high amount of speed going into the later half of this map in order to ensure that you are going to be able to get past this tunnel, which we thankfully were able to get there. We can just swim our way through the tunnel. No problems in the world. And we actually have a very good amount of HP. So this actually has a second part to it, where if you didn't go fast enough, you can't get the second part, but we should have enough HP to do it, where we need to conserve our momentum in between these two maps so that we can launch past the goo at the beginning of this map without having to do another save delete. Can be kind of tricky to do because there's boxes and displacements that can block you and make it so that you lose all your speed. But we made it past it right there. We're going to jump onto this ledge in order to set up for another launch to skip a majority of Canals 10. We're only reaching the tail end of Boatless, where we're going to be doing one of the more unique tricks in this game that's going to set the course for the rest of the run pretty hard. If you'll excuse my dying. I don't know if the frames are dropping, but if they're not, then the bad playing starts now.
It looks fine. It's just every time you quick load, it looks like frame drops.
Okay. I will make sure
Yeah.
to never load saves. This is an SS
Yeah.
speedrun. Let's go.
Yeah.
This is a new engine. Old engine runs look significantly different and do not have this high amount of velocity. They have a lot of other more broken tricks, though, that make it a lot different. Speaking of tricks, So this map here, we're going to be doing the most significant trick for the entire run. So what we need to do is we need to get past this airboat so that we can skip the change level trigger, and then we need to sit inside of the trigger and get out of the boat again. This will delete the boat when we're going on to the previous map, but whenever you are in a boat and you don't get out of it, you have no clip until you like get out of the boat. But we never actually got out of the boat was just deleted, so the game never took away our no clip. So we can just kind of fly through walls and do anything we want right now. But the problem is that we also fly through change level triggers, so we're stuck on this map until we touch a barnacle. So now what this does is now we've touched the barnacle and we have our collision back. So now what we're going to be doing with this new state that we're in is that basically the game, we have collision and the game thinks that we're in an airboat, but we still have the walking around and the normal movement that we have whenever we're not in the airboat. So because of this, we retain airboat physics while only having the shape of our regular player model. And this causes really weird collision with props, allowing you to clip through pretty much any wall in the game just by jumping into any prop. So for the rest of the run, this is going to be our main tool for getting past maps very quickly. This is one of the best things to happen to this run. It essentially allowed us to skip every awful strat, every awful cutscene, with the exception of like 1 or 2 at the end. That normally would just make this run really, really obnoxious and luck-based and cutscene ridden to do. But now we can just completely skip pretty much every major thing in the run if we could stop falling in the water. So much for SS. But anyway. This is a kind of tricky launch called Chili Launch. Thankfully we got it pretty quickly there. That was made by a runner, Chili and such. It's one of the better runners of this game. We got some weird landing there. There we go. Chili's one of the best movement-based players in the game, and he came up with a lot of the modern stuff that is done for movement on canals and in other parts of the game. Anyway, so making our way to Canals 12. We're nearing the end of Boatless. We have 2 more Boatless maps left, and the next one is super short. So this is basically the last map. So we're just going to be flying our way through with some AFHing. So we can fool the game into thinking that we're moving backwards to gain ABH speed by holding S. So the game thinks we're going backwards, and it will just give us speed. And use that to get through all these maps super quickly. Excuse me, sir. Another thing about this state to bring up is that it actually makes it so that you cannot take many sources of damage. So the only things that will actually deal damage to us now are long falls, explosions, or environmental damage like the goo. These Metrocops, for instance, have absolutely no way of doing damage to us because they don't carry explosives. So their bullets will just phase right through us. If they try to melee us, their melees will phase right through us. The reason for this is because the weird airboat collision makes your model not be there, and bullets go through you. It's very convenient for a strat coming up later, where we need to distract a guard for multiple minutes. Anyway, just gonna launch over this gate instead of fighting the helicopter, landing in the water to secure our fall, and now we're gonna be starting on the Eli maps. So you can't completely skip every cutscene. Unfortunately, this map has like 4 or so minutes of cutscene that we're gonna have to sit through. But we're gonna be able to skip a good amount of it thanks to the clipping method that we now have gotten. But if there's any donations or anything to read, now is a good time to do it.
Nothing so far yet.
Okay, no problem. So what is supposed to happen for this game up to this point in the story is that on the long cutscene at the beginning we skipped. We were supposed to teleport to this science facility, but something went wrong and we did not teleport there. We had to make it through the canal section of the game in order to make it to this point. But now that we're here, what we're supposed to do is we're just supposed to settle down and do some science. And that's supposed to be the end of the story until things go bad and we have to leave here again. Okay, and I'm going to break this box in order to get some planks of wood out of it in order to teleport this character with. This is Mossman, and also to quickly explain the teleporting, since I did not before. In this game, NPCs have particular nodes that they need to reach in order to get to the end of their sort of path in the cutscene. In order to prevent soft locking, the developers made it so that these NPCs would teleport to the end of their node if they were blocked by anything. So you can purposefully put props on their head, and it will sometimes make them teleport to the end of their node, allowing you to skip small parts of the cutscene where the NPCs are just walking.
Listen to me, I sound like a postdoc.
The Mossman will keep talking.
So excited to
You'll hit an invisible button on that wall that isn't there because of graphical bugs with this version I'm running. Don't worry about it. Now we're going to clip into the floor, so we get to hang out with some people playing chess, we get to hang out with some chefs, and now we're going to go into Mossman's office to hit a trigger that will cause Eli to start talking to us when we go over to him. Now we want to walk over to Eli to start talking to him, because talking to him will cause a trigger that will make Alex start wanting to come into this room. But in order to make sure Alex comes into the room, which is the girl from earlier in the game, we need to block Mossman with this radio, or whatever this is. So we need to block her in order for Alex to actually come through, because if Mossman makes her way to the end of this cutscene, this might not work. Let's see. I'm going to reload. So what's supposed to happen is you block her for a bit. There we go. Alex will come into the room, and now what's going to happen is that two different cutscenes, or two different parts of this one cutscene are going to be playing at the same time. What this does is, with the way that the game works in terms of the progression of the cutscenes, is that it waits for each part of the cutscene to be complete before moving on to like the end of the map sequence. Now that we're getting through two of these parts of the cutscene at once, we're going to be much more soonly getting to the actual end of map sequence, allowing us to finish the map and move on to the video game. So unfortunately, we still do have some cutscenes in this run. We can't skip everything, so we have to wait here for a bit. This room is really cool for lore and stuff. If you like the Half-Life universe, this is like the best chapter in all of the games. But looking at anything and doing any sort of world building loses time, so we have to ignore all the things in order to make sure that we don't lose time, which is very upsetting that I have to just look at the ground and jump around when there's all this interesting stuff to look at. And actually look at some of these books, like the Big Book of Big Text. This is a very good one.
Alex, I thought you were on watch.
The Vortiguns relieved me so I could come see Gordon. Anyway, I should be in here working on the portal.
I have the repairs well in hand. Someone misjudged the capacity of the combine thyristor.
Are you blaming me?
No,
So,
not at all.
um,
Calculation error, not a mechanical.
Alex doesn't like Mossman.
You should let me do the calculations next
Eli likes Mossman. Mossman likes Eli. I don't know if there's any romance between that, but
Deliberately misunderstand me.
who knows.
Alex, why don't you take Gordon along and give him
Also, in more general lore stuff,
Let's go have
all like the bad
Point energy.
Metro Cop people are cloned human alien boys, and they are not happy with us, and they want to enslave us. Alright, so now we have a fun teleport coming up. Well, that was cool. A fun teleport coming up here, where we have to teleport Alex up this ramp in order to not be slow, but there's pretty much no way for us to do that consistently, which is
just gets a bit
unfun.
claustrophobic down here.
So we're gonna teleport Alex here. She'll talk about Ravenholm. There we go. Stand on the ramp, which will cause him to start walking a bit faster, and then we hope to God we get the teleport. We didn't get it. Oh, we got a half one. That's good enough. So now we're going to be setting up a barrel. It's kind of at the end of there. The reason we're going to be doing this is because we actually need to clip past an invisible wall that is right where that barrel is. So we're first going to clip through that box and then through this barrel, which allows us to skip this entire map. So normally on this map you would get the gravity gun and then learn how to use it by playing with a big robot dog. We get to see the robot dog later, so if you want to see the robot dog later, you get to see the robot dog. And he's very good. You don't get to see him much though, so it's upsetting, but anyway. We don't get the gravity gun until much later in the run as a result of this. This is the only place you can get the gravity gun normally, but using save deleting, we can get it later when we actually do need to use it. Excuse me. Gonna get past these zombies, and now we need to do a launch above this whole map. So the town section of this game is pretty much done in a blink of an eye. We can pretty much just fly above every map using explosive boosts and just solid movement. So what we need to do here is we need to not get stuck in the barrel, which is easier said than done, and we need to do a boost off of it in order to fly up to the end of the map like so. So we just completely skipped a pretty significantly large map. And we're going to do the exact same thing here by taking this barrel and clipping into this room, which is normally supposed to be one of the Lambda Locator secret rooms. You can clip into there to get some supplies. Clip down with this table. Go to the next map. And we're going to be picking up an SMG nade here so that we can do a double grenade boost to skip the crescendo part of this map. We got this. This is probably the hardest part of Ravenholm is this boost. Making it above there can be very tricky, but smooth sailing from here. We're just going to do a grenade boost to get on top of this map. Oops. I don't know if I can do this. Actually, I cannot. Let's do this again. There we go. Okay. You can get above this map, go around that cliff to get around the invisible wall that blocks you. And now we are pretty much done with Ravenholm. We're going to go through some underground tunnels, and then we'll be making our way to coast. Fall down, block our falls with some nice rocks. Ignore all these poison head crabs. And stand on this barrel so that we can clip it down. And swim our way through here. Now we have one more part of this map that we can lose a lot of time on very easily, which is getting bad luck here, which I got bad luck. Where you can sometimes have an incredible amount of speed going into this ramp, but if you don't get it, you pretty much won't get it going up the entire thing. So, very common to lose like 10 seconds there, and it's pretty fun. That's okay. So now we're done with the spooky zombies, and we get to make our way to the fun flying parts of the game again, where we get to just completely obliterate parts of the game where you normally need vehicles. So we need to do, if I could boost off this barrel, there we go. Skip over that log truck. And we're gonna see if we can get some ammo from a box. Sometimes it doesn't spawn, and if it doesn't, there's a backup. It did not spawn, so I have to use the backup. So normally in that truck you can find an SMG grenade, but unfortunately sometimes it will not spawn for weird reasons that I do not know currently. Probably has something to do with ammo count and stuff, but it's okay, we can get one later. So now we're on Coast. Coast is a very big, fast movie with flying everything section, and it's super jarring to watch. By the way, we don't get the car. If I didn't mention that before, we do not use the car. That's not normal. That's cool, though. So what happened there was we got a launch off of a railing, which normally doesn't happen. Doing that allowed us to save some HP by not falling or being stuck in the water, getting eaten by leeches as much, but this movement is actually completely possible in the current version of the game. Like the current Steam version of the game. There is an older version of the game that is not available on Steam called Old Engine, which you can get through Google pretty easily. That has different stuff going on, but ABH is currently possible in the current Steam version of the game and everything. So that was a whole map. We're done with that. Don't worry about it. We're doing another map. This is the hardest map, Coast 07, where we have to get a pretty precise launch to be able to skip a bridge. If you remember this bridge, there's actually a completely different map where you go under this bridge and you fight a helicopter. And when you fight that helicopter, nice. When you fight that helicopter, you go back onto the previous map so that you can now go onto the bridge and you drive your car across the bridge and have a good day. But we skip the map where we fight the helicopter on the bridge and we just skip the bridge. So now we have to make it through this tunnel to do another very hard map. It's like 3 or 4 pretty hard maps in a row on Coast, which is fun. Reason why this one's hard is because we have to do some good movement at the end here to make it above a very big water gap, so that we don't have to go around this entire map. We can just completely skip over it by launching like so. At a pretty good launch there, allowing it to skip over that entire gap. And now we can move on to Coast 10. So Coast 10, just gonna skip over the whole helicopter fight you're supposed to do. You're supposed to defend a lighthouse with a bunch of people by fighting a helicopter, and then they let you through. Ignore that fight. They can do it on their own. They're okay. Now that we're done with that, we're getting into the last few maps of Coast. We're gonna get some supplies. Don't worry about Laszlo. He's fine. Don't worry about it. Now this map has really tricky movement that is really awkward to do. Able to get it pretty decently there. I did not get the SMG nade. There it is. Now we have to try to get rock launch, where if we have enough speed, we can launch off that rock. Not enough speed though. And this would allow us to skip pretty much this entire climbing sequence that I'm going to be doing now, where I'm going to be climbing onto the clip brush that is outside of the normal map area. Doing this allows us to skip pretty much the entire Vortigaunt camp that is right below us, which saves a lot of time. Don't have to get the bug bait or anything. But yeah, so now we skip over that. We fall into the clip brush so that we don't lose all of our health, and then we have to go backwards in order to hit the change level trigger. Now that we do that, we can go back where we were coming from. And there's now a map here because the map was not loaded previously, so we had to go load it. Now we're just going to be skipping over this whole map by launching into the water, then scooping ourselves out of the water, and launching up with an SMG nade. And now we're up here. And now we're going into prison. So now the prison section of this game, this is Nova Prospect, which is a prison that the Combine uses for their prisoners of war, people who disagree with their authoritarianism, stuff like that. So we need to get into the prison because the important dad from before that we were talking to is stuck in this prison, and we need to help him because he's important for the revolution that's happening among the people. So we need to clip into here in order to skip fighting some more helicopters because we haven't fought any helicopters yet and we're damn not starting now. So, skip another helicopter fight, put this barrel in the corner, we wait for the change level to occur. Once it does occur, we can clip through that barrel to get started right away with our gaming. Shoot down that turret in order to make it not screw with our barrel there. And now, instead of going through this map like normal, we're just going to clip through with this filing cabinet. It's completely around if we could clip through. So if you can't tell, there's a lot of really weird stuff going on. Whenever we have this quick clip state, so much as touching a prop can just get you stuck on the floor, or can send you flying in a direction that you've never experienced before. It's a lot of inconsistencies that come with this trick. It's just very fragile and just kind of works in weird ways that you can't really account for at times. Especially in new engine. In the older engine, it works a lot more consistently and flawlessly, but in new engine, it's a little bit finicky. So it can sometimes be very awkward to use. We're going to use this explosive thing on the floor, though, allowing us to do a double grenade boost to right to the end of this map. And we have to get this hard clip. We didn't get it, so we're just gonna go around. You can clip using that fence that was on the wall there to get into this room, but it's super hard to do, and it's not worth trying again if you mess it up. So now we're gonna be using these turrets to clip through this wall, using this box to clip through this gate, taking the contents of these boxes because we need the armor in order to make sure we don't lose all of our HP. Does anything deactivate the airboat state? If we save delete, which we're going to have to at some point, or if we get into a different vehicle, we will lose the state. So before on coast, if I got into the boat or into the car, I would actually have lost the state completely. So I can't use it for multiple reasons. Anyway, we're trying to get this box to stand upright like that. Doing it as long as I was is not fast, but it allows you to jump on the box and get up here a lot faster. So we have to do some kind of KZ style jumping to get on top of this invisible wall. Bringing this box with us because it will allow us to clip downward, skipping a very long cutscene that takes place on this map. So this is Prison 06, and normally this map would have like about 10 or so minutes of cutscenes where you talk to Alex for a bit, you talk to Eli for a bit, you talk to Alex and Eli for a bit, you talk to Alex a bit, and then you have to wait for Alex to activate this gate, and then it's miserable to do in a run. But we can skip past all of it by just using our good old clippy movement. There we go. We've made it through the longest cutscene garbage map in the game without having to watch a single lick of it. So after doing that, we jump over that force field, and we need to set up this bench in a kind of precise way that I might mess up in order to make it so that we don't take fall damage by doing this downward clip. I did it right. Good stuff. And we're going to run into here to grab some armor. So in the older Half-Life 2 routes where you just could save delete everywhere, your HP management mattered a lot less, and like your ammo management mattered a lot less. But because now we want to preserve quick clip, so we don't want to save delete until we absolutely 100% need to, we actually need to worry a lot more about where we're getting our HP, armor, ammo, and stuff like that. So currently I have 12 HP and 68 armor, which is not nearly enough to do what I need to do in this map. Thankfully, there is a healing thing on the wall right here. We can heal our way up to around 50 HP, which will be more than enough to do what we need to do. We can clip downward through that corner, take this plank, have it clip us into the ground. And now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing something called a... Whoops, that's unfortunate. I have to reload this autosave now. This is going to lose a little bit of time. That's okay. So let's just try and get it. There we go. Just do that again. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. I'll make a hard save this time so we don't have to do that again. There we go. So now you can clip down into here. We use this grenade to boost us through the wall, and then we shoot a grenade at the ground. What this will do is, because of the momentum we got from the explosives is not lost, we can actually use it to clip through this clip brush in the wall. And the reason we want to do this is, one, because it skips a pretty long cutscene, and two, so that we can activate that turret through a wall. So normally you have to wait a pretty long time in order to be able to activate these turrets. And because the game wants you to wait a while, activating the turrets will start the infinite wave of Combine that you normally have to fight on this map. But we're not going to watch the entire thing. So we're going to kill two of these people. The shotgun dude and then just this guy. And then we're going to take this piece of the door that fell and we're going to drop it onto this console in a particular way. There we go. That should be good. If it's not, that's fine. So I can fix it if it's not good. But so as I said way earlier, we can't actually take any bullet damage. So whenever this Combine dude shoots at us, the bullets are just completely going by us, and he just doesn't do anything. So he's just gonna kind of be very frustrated doing his thing for a bit. Let me actually readjust this real quick. Come on. That should be good. Oh, god dang it. Oh no. That's unfortunate. Bad save timing. That's good enough. Okay, I don't know how that's good enough. Okay, so what happened before was that so basically what we're doing here is that the infinite wave of Combine soldiers attacking us starts, but Eli and Mossman are in the middle of their cutscene at the same time. So what we want to do is we want to keep this guy alive, because if we kill him, an infinite wave will spawn, and we don't want to fight that infinite wave because they can very easily kill either of these two NPCs. Aside from that, we're blocking Mossman from being able to continue her cutscene at the moment. So we're essentially self-locking ourselves until a certain point, which is going to be coming up shortly. So once this thing flashes red again, we're going to be moving this piece of debris, allowing Mossman to continue with her cutscene. The reason we're doing this is because, as you can see, the elevator is going up very slowly here. And what we want to have happen is we want Mossman to call down the elevator for her to use it right as the elevator reaches the top. What this will help us with is it will allow us to skip the long waiting for this elevator to come down sequence, where we have to just fight Combine, and it's just super boring, and it's so long. This map's normally like 8 minutes long if you don't do any skips, but with the skip it lowers it to around 4 minutes if you don't mess up. But now we can kill this guy, take his stuff. We're gonna heal on these walls here real quick. And we're gonna be making our way into City 17, reaching the later stages of this run. White flash signifies that they're now gone. We do some good old-fashioned murder. There's he's talking about there's a room up there. That is the room that in the Dwamov run, I believe that's where they did some of their... Actually, no, they did the drawing... Did they do drawings on this map? I know they did drawings in Prison 07, but I don't know about this map. Anyway. So now what we need to do is... this elevator's a prop, so we can't go up it. So what we have to do is, once the elevator gets high enough, we just have to do a grenade boost in order to get kind of on this little ledge here. And this will be enough for us to be able to get onto the change level trigger and allow us to get to the next map. Now, first thing we're going to quickly do on this map is try to get out of this thing, but I couldn't do it fast. So, we want to get into this corner, shoot the orb at this, and it won't work. Shoot the orb at this, and then it will work. Oh, even better. So we can clip through it and skip part of this cutscene. That's a unfortunately pretty luck-based skip, because you just have to hope that the orb will kind of move the server in the right way. You can't move the server with anything else except the gravity gun, but keep in mind we don't have the gravity gun, so couldn't really do that. So now we're going to be taking this, whoops, there we go, taking this little crate, clipping through the wall with it. Normally we'd see dog on this map, but there's no dog. Don't worry about the dog. Please. Please. I'm crying. Game just wants to see the dog. Oh no. So normally you're just supposed to clip through easy peasy, but sometimes the thing can give you a hard time. That's okay. That's just new engine. Now we're done with that. We're gonna hear some dudes hopefully cheering for all the good money we raised. All the good times we've had at Hackathon. Oh, they didn't do it. Every time, man. 0 for 3 on them cheering. When they pull down the statue of Breen, they sometimes will cheer, and I made the joke 3 times that they cheer for the marathon, and then they haven't done it all 3 times, and I am a little angry. That's okay. I'm still proud. But more importantly, we're gonna get another Lambda locator cache here. And we're going to... I need to grab some extra HP from over here. So now we have a bunch of HP and armor. We're going to immediately use it on getting blown up by these explosives. Throw this into this corner. I need a little bit more time on that. Excuse me. So... Oh no. There we go. Okay, this will work. So we use a double grenade. Oh my lord, that was so fast. We did a double grenade boost there in order to make our way to the end of this map while skipping all of it. And now we're just gonna walk into some tables to fall through the floor. And we're gonna make our way onto excuse me, City 17 06A. So this map used to be notorious for having the longest clip in the game that saved about 1.5 minutes, but took about like 15 minutes to do in real time, which was really cool, and it really made this game a lot of fun for people to run back when they ran it in that way. But don't worry about any of that, because we can just completely clip past everything, and it's just way better and not atrocious. And excuse me, sir, you really need to... Alright, we did it. So now that we're done with that, we can clip through this gate here using the box that's already placed for us. We're gonna clip through here using this trash can that's already placed for us. And then we're gonna grab one of these little crates, once again, the ones that failed us before, in order to clip our way, excuse me, excuse me. Okay. These crates are not helping me out today. That's okay though. So we're gonna fall onto a door sill. That clip's kind of precise because if you are not in the correct position, you'll end up falling through another floor that you don't want to fall through. You want to land on a kind of door frame that is in the bottom floor. That was a weird thing that I don't want to do. So we're gonna do movement here to quickly grab the HP in this truck, and we're gonna head underground. Real time seems way better. Most people run the real time strat. Basically, the real time category is basically inbounds, and the out of bounds category is basically the in-game time route. Not many people go for out of bounds except for one runner who is pushing the time down really, really optimally. But anyway, more importantly, we're gonna be jumping over this gap if we can do it. This is the hardest thing to do in a marathon. We did it. And now we're going to be doing some more explosive boosts. So what we're going to do here is, even though we have an SMG nade, we're going to be using a regular, we're going to be using a regular frag grenade in order to do... Oh no, that's not going to work. We're going to be using a regular frag grenade to do this boost. This boost sucks because... sometimes the grenade just won't blow up the barrel, and it's dumb, but if you do it with the grenade, you can skip climbing around by using the SMG nade to launch you. Now that we're done with that, we're going to get some supplies from these boxes, and we're going to just go and do our thing. Oh, we didn't do it. You can... oh, okay. What is the backup here? Let's learn together. The backup is reload. So, come on, we got this. So you want to launch into this corner, which will launch you up like so. We don't want to lose all that HP though, so let's do that again. There we go. And we'll do an SMG nade boost to get over this wall, and we're making our way into the next map. So we're going to take a barrel with us here in order to set up a pretty precise clip that we need to try. So we're going to set up those, break those to get the HP, and we need to line up with a circle on the wall, and we need to SMG nade boost into the wall in a way that the game will clip us through the wall with the proper angle and velocity in order for us to launch off of a small piece of debris that's on, or a small piece of like concrete that's on the floor. This is a dumb clip, don't worry about it. There we go, and we can launch over like that. Sometimes it looks cooler than that when you get it really fast and you're not just talking about it for 30 seconds longer than you need to be. Anyway, this is a really long map where you have to go through the museum with Barney, and you have to look at all the exhibits, and then you have to make the orbs not be in the orb circle, or the orb holder. But we can just clip past these gates and we can get out of the museum early. Oh. Hopper mines normally don't launch into the wall like that, but so we had to take it a bit slow there. And we're gonna use a rocket to kill those boys. We're gonna open the door, we're gonna do a rocket jump to get over this wall. The years of TF2 experience finally paying off. Excuse me. Thank you. Doing a boost over this wall. Excuse me, sir. Something that NPCs like to do is because they have the ability to, they'll just walk inside of you, and then they'll just stand there. They will never leave your body, so you have to either murder them or throw a grenade to scare them, because they will never leave you. They are one with you. They are part of Gordon. Only when you're quick clip, though, because quick clip is weird and kooky. And now we're going to be launching off a dumpster. We tried to do this earlier in the run, and like right after the big ol' Red Letter Day skip, but we didn't do it properly. But now we can do it. Whoops, we can't do it. Now we can. No, come on. Let's load a different save because that one is doo doo. All right, here we go. We're up here now, which is way higher than we can be. There we go. We're going to use the rocket launcher to blow up this hole in the wall, and we're going to clip past this guy. And we're going to use the rocket launcher to get over this wall. No, alright. I broke every box there, which you're not supposed to do, but you can do a backup by going down here and picking up this box. It's actually faster to reload, but I wanted to show off my sick map knowledge by getting that box, but that's okay. We're going to clip through this wall eventually. Eventually. No, stop, Strider. No, no. 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 Yes. Okay. We take this trash can with us because we need to do a clip to get past a certain cuts. Actually, I guess we're just not seeing the dog this run. There's a... Trust me when I say there's a dog in this game, but we don't see it. It's okay. So now we're gonna be saying goodbye to Quick Clip because we're gonna lose it on this map anyway. So we need to do a save delete. Excuse me. In order to get all our stuff back. So now we have a gravity gun, which is super cool. Enemies can destroy your boxes. Yes, your boxes can be destroyed by enemy bullets and stuff. So it's lucky that it didn't happen there. So we do a precise walking off the ledge there in order to edge bug so that we don't lose any of our HP. And now we're going to be doing a SMG nade boost across this gap. We're going to be pulling out a rocket launcher to do a rocket jump. Doing an S tap to land in this corner. And then jumping around and launching into this cutscene. While we are in this cutscene, I don't know, was the incentive for me to play Refunct during this run met?
Oh, jeez, one sec.
You have time to figure out. You have like 5 or so minutes before I would have to play it, so it's not too big of a deal. I'm just getting the game
no,
open.
it wasn't met.
It was not met? Okay. That's alright.
Yeah.
Let me have the game not be open so I don't lose my frames. So, unfortunately, a lot of content was actually cut from this game prior to its official release. So, in particular, a very painfully average segment of this game, casually and in speedrunning, is Citadel, where you spend 90% of the time in Citadel watching cutscenes. So, in particular, there are three maps with long cutscenes on them. This map, Citadel 02, which has about 2.5 minutes of waiting. Citadel 05, which has about 2 minutes of waiting, and then Breen 01, which has about 4. So we have about 8 total minutes of waiting to get through in Citadel in the speedrun, and probably about 3 minutes of actual gameplay, if even that. So, thankfully, this part comes at the very end of the run, where if you get a run to this point, and it's not on PB pace, you can hit a bit of a cheat bind that will speed up the cutscenes. Obviously not allowed, for official runs, because you have to put on the cheat mode in order to do it. But when the run is not going to PB, there's no reason to not speed it up, so that you do not lose all of your sanity. You can speedrun a lot of games in the meantime. Something that I stole from my friend Connor Ace is that I would do a speedrun of Refunct during the second batch of cutscenes. where there's about 6 minutes of waiting, and Refunk being about a 3-minute game, you can actually finish 2 runs of before you actually have to play the game again. I've also done the Impossible quiz. I did a random Newgrounds game called Adventure Game. World record in that game is near perfect, so that's cool. The time span between 1 and 2 is, I think, about 20 years, roughly. We finally made it to the end of this first cutscene, so now what we're going to do here is we need to start sprinting as soon as we start falling. And the reason we need to do this is so that we run over to this force field here. We need then to make our way over to the force field and then walk out from it a little bit. This will put us right inside the trigger that will cause all of our weapons to be thrown out from us. We need to immediately then walk back in, pick up the rocket launcher, and then pick up all of these other weapons whenever the gate starts fizzling. So the reason we do this is because normally this game gets rid of all of your weapons with the exception of your gravity gun, but if you do that, you can actually retain the rocket launcher for the rest of the game, which we only really need to do this quick boost here that saves about 8 seconds. So that whole process there is really just to save about 8 seconds. But now for the rest of the run, we're going to be using the super gravity gun, which is better than the original gravity gun that we've definitely seen before, in that it can pick up these big orbs from the wall, it can pick up entire enemies, it can do lots of crazy fun, cool, neat stuff. This part of the run in game is super enjoyable because you just have a god complex where you are completely unstoppable from this crazy strong weapon that you were gifted. But you kind of don't really get that much time to actually have fun and utilize this mechanic, unfortunately. Dang. So what we're trying to do here is we need to set up this monitor in a precise position in order for us to be able to launch off of it. It's kind of hard to get this position at times. You need to be very precise with where you drop this screen, and if you do it correctly, however, like so, you launch right to the top of that map, skipping a really long cutscene that you would normally have to sit through. There could be more cutscenes. How pleasant. But got a little bit left of the run to go. So we're just going to ABH past here. Get some good old orbs gone. And we're just going to get into this pod and we're going to just have a little bit of a wait. So, as I said before, lots of cut content. With the incredible size of the Citadel being miles taller than any structure man has ever built, you get through 99% of it through these pods that you just kind of get into. And it's super lame. And, man, if this game wasn't rushed, it would be really good. It's already pretty good. But then you got sections like these. When is Hunt Down the Freeman? I'll get to it whenever I get good times in literally every other game that exists. Your boy's getting like a 114 in Sunshine before that happens, and I don't plan on running Sunshine for the next lifetime. These cutscenes do let you appreciate just the incredible scale of the Combine and the Citadel. Just like, what are those things, man? Those are like mecha head crabs, and I literally didn't know they existed until just now. What is this? I wouldn't say rushed, but the leak did end up making. I'm pretty sure the leak didn't end up having their intended release date pushed forward a bit. Forward meaning sooner. So we're just kind of flying our way up the Citadel, and then the game's going to slow us down a little bit at the top of the Citadel here whenever we get up there. We went back. Okay, yeah, I was a little bit misinformed. You guys like this JPEG? That's a cool JPEG. So now we're in the last cutscene of the game. Story summary up to this point, so we get to Black Mesa East. Black Mesa East goes bad. We go through Ravenholm because there's no other way out. We get to Coast in order to get to prison to rescue Eli's dad, or Alex's dad. But Mossman betrays us and takes Eli to the top of the Citadel here where Breen is because Eli is very important to things. So we have to now go through City 17 to make our way to the Citadel, to go up to the Citadel and say hi to our good old friends and have a little bit of a get together.
Inhabited by vast meteorological intelligences, worlds stretched thin across the membranes where the dimensions intersect. Impossible to describe with our limited vocabulary.
What I've seen is all
And we get to hear some very interesting line delivery from Breen's voice actor.
good.
But some of my favorite lines
Well, if it isn't Gordon,
when he gets the gravity gun in particular.
what's this? I'll put it over there.
It's kind of quiet, but Breen's a very playful guy.
First, you lead me straight to the doorstep of my oldest friend, and then you deliver yourself.
And the voice line delivery is...
Come straight up to
I don't know what it is about this cutscene in particular, but pretty much everyone's acting ability just completely goes south in this cutscene.
ensures I can dictate the
Eli's VA holds his own, but everyone else has got some issues with their talking. It seems like these takes were not given enough time, but like it's nitpicking at that point, so it's whatever. This game's really amazing. I don't mean to talk about it the last 5 minutes as if it's not amazing, but this game's really good.
tried to finish his research yourself. What neither you nor I
Green is pretty much a puppet leader.
revel in
He doesn't really gain anything, or he gains a lot, but
Eli refuses
he isn't. He's not really anything to the actual Combine.
Save them. For what?
Eli, if you won't do the right thing for the good of all people, maybe you'll do it for one.
The spoiler: we're all captured. Wow,
Alex,
we're all really, really great.
God damn you, Breen, you let her go.
That's all up to you, my old friend. Will you let your stubborn short-sightedness doom the entire species, or will you give your child the chance her mother never had?
And also, general Half-Life story. If you don't know what happened, leading up to this point. So, Half-Life 1, they were given, Black Mesa got a crystal. Crystal opened up a portal to another dimension. The Zen creatures came to this dimension to run away from the Combine, which is the main antagonist of Half-Life 2. In between Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2, a nuke goes off, and the Combine learn that Earth exists because the nuke goes off. And then they invade, and the 7-hour war happens. And in 7 hours, all of the militaries in the world lose. And then Half-Life 2 happens like 20 years later.
No.
Don't listen to him, Gordon.
How about it, Doug Freeman? Did you realize your contract was open to the highest bidder?
Gordon would never make any kind of deal with you.
I understand if you don't wish to discuss this in front of your friends.
He's got a pretty nice office. Like,
We can talk
it'd be a shame if this place got kind of messed up, you know?
Yeah, it's got really nice rugs.
Yeah, look at these rugs. These are like good, like,
We're doing what I
rugs, like straight from Arabia. Like,
stopping you.
speaking of Arabia, that run's coming up.
Yeah,
Uh,
Arabian Nights.
That might be something I'm staying up for, because that game's beautiful.
Goose was talking about how he's having some problems with it
Oh
earlier.
no. Alright, so
Not like problems.
hopefully the run goes well for them. But anyway, we have the last trick of the run here, which I'm just gonna let it kind of happen.
Watch out, he's gonna.
Okay, try that one more time. So,
Watch out, he's gonna.
if you're wondering what's going on, I need to save load a certain amount of times. Let's try that one more time.
Watch out, he's gonna.
The way I need to do this, though, is I need to save load quickly enough that I am not, like, advancing the game too much, but slowly enough that I'm not advancing the game too little. It's the reason I'm messing this up, my John for this is that I currently don't have my timer open, which makes it kind of difficult to time these save loads. But yeah, I am currently save loading, which is causing the game to freeze. There we go. So okay, what that did is that it deleted the pod we were in, which is a vehicle before the vehicle or before we actually get out of it. So we now have no clip and we can just beat the game. It's fantastic. We just fly right to the end, pick up the gravity gun that just kind of appears at our feet, and we can overthrow Breen. There we did it. And time's gonna be coming up quite shortly.
Yep.
In fact, they are gonna say it for us. Time, by the way. And there it is. That's Half-Life 2. Run changed a lot since the recent big marathons. Like the most recent GDQ run of this game is a completely different world. We have some more fun stuff to do though. Quickly, we can fly down in the middle of the ending cutscene, and we can say hi to Alex wherever. There she is. She, for some reason, whenever this cutscene's going on, she's just making a really silly face the entire time. And she just kind of, I think this is the way that the game makes her when the final thing blows up, but she just kind of is stuck like this. It's pretty fun. And then you zoom right into her face, and it's a good way to see off the run. So, now Freeman's put back in stasis for whenever he's next going to be needed, which is going to be the start of episode 1. G-Man basically, from what I understand, saves Alex and Gordon, and then you go on more adventures. And then you get to speed around those really good, fun games that don't have 20 minutes of cutscene in a 30-minute run. They're very good. Don't worry about it. But G-Man's getting off, so I will have to be too. Thanks everyone for having me here. It's always fun doing these runs. This game's quite the thing. Quite the thing.
Thanks, Alex.
Great. Thanks everybody.